jumps off of the new album are sort of the extremes of it. I mean that the big rock songs are big, and that the slow stuff is really intimate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about how it transpired into those directions.
When we made plans, that album came together very, very piece by piece. I don't think at any point actually in recording that record, any more than two of us were in the same room tracking at the same time. There was always sort of a, you do your thing next, you do your thing next, and it was a very layered kind of brick and mortar sort of approach to it. And that was, that afforded us a really high level of scrutiny and quality control as far as, is this perfect? Does this fit exactly how we want? And we were really microscopic about that. And I think in a reaction to that, we really sort of said to ourselves, like, let's make this album about us playing music together, warts and all. Try and really capture the sort of live spirit, live energy thing that we bring to our live show. I mean, bands have been recording albums live in a room for decades. It's not like we're reinventing the wheel at all. I don't want to make it sound like we've discovered some new thing here, but for us it was pretty new, and for us it pushed us into a place as musicians and as just creative people to kind of rethink about something that had become pretty familiar for us now 10 years into being a band. So
is it weird, is it scary thinking about introducing songs, these songs that you've lived with, that it's weird enough to start taking out into the world, but taking them out in that sort of scale, is that an extra strange experience?
I mean, I'm hoping that by the time Bonnaroo rolls around, that the people will have at least some connection to some of the new material that we'll be playing there. But I think we understand the sort of unspoken contract for playing live, which is you play a show and people come to see you and they want to see you play songs that they know. And that includes old songs that they know. And you can't just be like, we got a new album and here it is from top to bottom and deal with it. It's like, there's other songs that we've played that people have a connection to and they're going to want us to play and hear. And we'll probably lean, I would say in a festival situation, more on established material than breaking out the new jam, as much for comfort for us as familiarity with the sort of group environment as well. So I don't know, but it'll remain to be seen. I mean, that's kind of the exciting part of the new album, kind of coinciding with being on the road at the same time. Something may pop up, and you don't know what that's going to be.
Do you go in with a different battle plan, or do you say, look, all we can do is give them the show and see what happens?
Ultimately, that's what we feel. We just say, look, we're going to play our show, we're going to be us, we're going to see how that goes, and we'll give them the best show that we know how to give them, given all the circumstances. You certainly, when the scale is that large and playing some of the main stage slots or some of the bigger, profile slots as far as that goes, you have that urge where you're like, man, I really want to do something huge and over the top. But then it just doesn't really feel like us, and I mean, you just can't really do that. There are lots of rock commandments, but the one, thou shalt not play after the flaming lips, comes from, because in a festival environment, you don't play after the flaming lips. That's the best birthday party that everyone went to, all in the same moment, and that's it. There's nothing that can happen after that would ever come close. So, hallelujah to the bands that can really take it to that level and own that. There's a part of me that goes, man, I wish I could do that. That'd be so fun, but they got it on lockdown, so let them do it.
As you look at this range, at this disparity of stuff within a festival like Bonnaroo, that Metallica to Kanye to Robert Plant and Alison Krauss, whatever. Maybe it's silly to say where do you see Death Cab slotting into all of this stuff, but but where do you think there's at least a common ground between all of these different sorts of sounds?
I mean, I think that the common ground is simply just the live music experience, and I wouldn't say. I mean, I think the festival promoters are, and the people that have, put these things together, people always talk about like the death of the album and like no one really listens to albums any longer, but that template is still exists. I mean, it exists, and Chris brought this up. Our guitar player Chris, I should qualify, just not some random Chris. Chris Walla brought it up. He was like, there's still an album mentality to how a festival unfolds. There's a cinematic sort of build towards the end, and that, and you have these, ups and downs. And so if if Bonnaroo is an album, then maybe the Death Cab experience is sort of that point in the album where you kind of relax a little bit and it's maybe a little more quiet and intimate overall, compared to where like Metallica might be, and the album listening experience would be the high point of let's go out and get crazy. It's almost like a painting, you know, you don't want too much of one color sometimes, you know, and that's kind of exciting. And as a band playing, and who, you know, when we're on the road, we miss all of the bands coming on tour to home. Here they all are in one place. Well, great, I can see a little bit of Kanye, I can see some of Chris Rock's set, I can then go over and see Metallica if I want, and, you know, check out My Morning Jacket and Rock on Tour. I mean, all of that stuff is fantastic. So I think, you know, that's just as exciting. That's just as much of a reason why we would even agree to do something like that, you know, because there is definitely a perk there for us beyond just the chance to play a show.